Today, let's take a look at what makes an aircraft legal or airworthy under IFR flight rules. We'll review the required equipment and what pre-flight inspections are required. First, let's identify what minimum equipment the FAA requires for legal IFR flight. In addition to the equipment required for a VFR flight, the following items are required by the FAA in FAR Part 9.1. Two-way radio communication. Navigation equipment suitable for the route to be flown. A gyroscopic rate of turn indicator. Slip and skid indicator. Sensitive altimeter adjustable for barometric pressure. A clock displaying hours, minutes, and seconds with a sweep second pointer or digital presentation. Generator or alternator of adequate capacity. Gyroscopic pitch and bank indicator, and a gyroscopic direction indicator. Remember that these are only minimum requirements. Most IFR flights will require more equipment to be safe and legal. In addition to the minimum required IFR equipment, specific equipment is usually required to fly an approach based on the type of navigational aid the approach uses. For example, if flying a non-precision approach, as in a VOR approach, a VOR receiver is required. If using an ILS approach, you will need a VOR receiver, a glide slope receiver, and a way to identify marker beacons. Remember that many electronic flight displays, like the G1000, will meet all these equipment requirements, and an IFR certified GPS can often meet the need for a DME or ADF equipment. If your flight takes you into Class A, B, C, or D airspace, you will need additional equipment. In Class D airspace that falls within 30 nautical miles of Class B airspace, a transponder is required. In Class C airspace, a transponder with Mode C is required. In Class B airspace, in addition to a Mode C transponder, VOR navigation equipment is required. Class A airspace requires a Mode C transponder as well. Of course, for the most part, anywhere a transponder is required, an ADS-B out transceiver is also required, including Class E airspace above 10,000 feet where a Mode C transponder is also required. Check aircraft logs to verify the pitot-static system and altimeter inspections have been completed within the last 24 calendar months, and the transponder inspection within the last 24 calendar months, if equipped and used for the flight. A VOR check within the last 30 days is required if VOR receivers are to be used. However, testing the VOR should be done as often as possible. If GPS is to be used for an IFR flight, verify in the POH or AFM that it is an approved installation and can be used for the flight desired. If the GPS will be used for an approach, it must have a current database. A GPS database that is not current can be used for the en route portion of the flight, but the data for the route must be valid. A rain prediction should be obtained prior to the flight using the receiver itself or a commercial flight planning service to verify satellite coverage for the trip. If the GPS is WAAS equipped, the rain information is not required. When flying IMC, a thorough pre-flight inspection is even more critical than when flying VFR. A problem experienced while in IMC can become much more severe than when in visual conditions. Special attention during the pre-flight should be given to the aircraft's antennas, both communication and navigation. The pitot-static system, including the pitot tube and the static port, should be carefully inspected to ensure there is no blockage or drainage. The pitot tube heater and any other anti-icing or de-icing equipment should be checked. These include the carburetor heat and the windshield defroster of the aircraft. Verify the fuel is of good quality and free of moisture. Confirm the fuel quantity is sufficient for an IFR flight. The more reserve fuel, the better. At minimum, you must have enough fuel to account for any known delays. Fly to the destination airport, the alternate airport, and then on for 45 minutes. During pre-flight, instrument checks should include the following. For electronic flight displays, confirm the annunciator for low volts, low oil pressure, and low vacuum. There should be no red X's over anything. If equipped with analog gauges, turn on the electrically driven instruments and listen for unusual noise. Check the compass for fluid that is full, free of bubbles, and not leaking from the case. The compass should have a current correction card. Airspeed indicator should read near zero, and the altimeter must read within 75 feet of airport elevation when set to current pressure settings. The vertical speed indicator should read zero. If it does not, note its position and use that position to indicate level flight. For attitude indicators, make sure the horizon bar is level. This should happen within 5 minutes. Turn coordinator should indicate miniature airplane wings level and ball centered if the ramp is level. Set the horizontal situation indicator, or HSI, to match the compass. Make sure the clock is set to the correct time, and check the alternate static source. Remember to verify proper operation of the flight instruments during the taxi portion of your flight. Flying IFR is a rewarding experience. You have the rating to fly in IMC and must face the challenges that go with it. You must learn to stay within the limits of both your own skill and the aircraft. But with proper planning and risk management, including a thorough pre-flight inspection, instrument flying can be both safe and enjoyable.